We're joined today by Stan Hill, a local identity here in Mandurah who's had a great life on the farm, in radio, and is well known by a lot of sportsmen.
Thank you, Russell.
Stan, where did it all start?
Well, it started in the Cunderton Hospital, to be quite honest. It's where I was born in 1938, so you don't have to be a Rhodes Scholar to find out how old I am. And from there, my mum and dad had a farm 20 k's south of Meckering. That's where I was brought up. For 52 years I lived there.
So it was on the farm?
Yes, on the farm. No motor vehicle, horse and sulky. You couldn't go far, so we lived off the land.
Now, were you there for the Meckering earthquake?
Absolutely. I was probably the only person, I think I'm the only person that actually saw the main street collapse, because it was a Monday holiday, very little people in town, and we were carting sheep like a lot of other people in the district at that stage. And back then sheep had to go to the Midland sale yards by rail. So we were carting stock to the railhead in Meckering, and I'd just gone through the main street, turned over the railway line, going back the other way when it all happened.
And what happened?
Well, the wind was blowing pretty hard, and I thought, boy, gee, that wind is pretty solid. And then the station house in front of me fell over in a cloud of dust, and I thought, well, can't be wind, it's got to be an earthquake. Okay. And the only thing I'd ever heard about an earthquake was the ground opening up, and I had 3 kids in the truck with me, and I can tell you I was pretty scared, because I looked over and the co-op and the hotel and the newsagents, the banks were all just crumbling in a cloud of dust. And it was so frightening, and it was about 3/4 of a k down to the trucking yards, and I got down there finally. You had a job to drive the truck, because the ground was bubbling so much during that 40 seconds that the earthquake actually took to bring everything down. So we got down to the trucking yards. There were 2 guys there, and I jumped out of the truck, said to the kids, now stay in the truck. And the second big quake hit us. It was 5 point something, and the 3 of us took off up the road. Real good, friendly people, leaving the kids in the truck, and there were cracks in the road, and I said something like, what do we do now? Fly. And the ABC actually got hold of those few words and did a small documentary on it, Run, Don't Fly. Yeah. But we were brave, weren't we, leaving the kids in the truck and just took off up the road, and that's how frightening it was.
You've got a calendar here.
Yes.
Of the 50th anniversary. Yep. Would you like to show us some of the photos?
Yeah, well, there's a couple of good ones there, Russell, and one in particular is the railway line. And a lot of people would never have seen the railway line as they happened, and there they are there.
Wow.
The one in the middle is the new standard gauge. That was only been there a couple of years. I think it was about 66 when it was put through. And the one on the side was the old narrow gauge line. And there's also one of a fence where the earthquake fault line went through, and the fence there is straight, and it moves across about 1.5 meters, and it's dead straight again. So that's the effect that it had on those sorts of things. And
now I noticed another photo when you're flipping through there is one of a sports team.
Absolutely. Meckering won the premiership in 1968, and I'm in the middle there, and my father's in the photo too, back there.
What a fantastic photo to have.
It is, and we've got a few photos like that. But one thing about the earthquake, Russell, was there wasn't enough photos taken. There were, we were too busy trying to get on with our life, find somewhere to live, because all the houses had crumbled. So we didn't keep enough out of that earthquake, which is a pity. I mean, everything's good in hindsight, as you know, but we didn't keep a lot of that stuff.
I think it's a pity. I think it's a pity we don't keep enough historical evidence of things.
We don't.
And in fact, when you drive out to Meckering, you do see some of that, but there would have been nice to be more.
Well, incidentally, Russell, that one on the cover of the calendar is the Great Eastern Highway, and you'll see cars on the top side of that coming from the east, and the bottom part is the west. Now that was 11 feet, 3.5 meters sheer, and you couldn't cross it. Now that's all been graded down, you can't see hardly anything, which is a great pity.
Yes. Now tell me, from the photo there of the sports team, is that how you got into radio? How did you get into radio?
Well, I suppose it was a funny question. Our league the Avon Football Association, which I was president of in 1972 when we started broadcasting. And we got Oliver Drake Brockman, the late Oliver Drake Brockman, of course, from 6IX to come up and do our finals. And when he got there, the first final was in Kellerberrin, and when he got there, he said to me, I need someone to just make a few comments when I go back for a commercial, so it gives me a bit of a breather. I said, oh, that's easy, I'll do that, I can do that. So about 5 minutes after the game started, he went back for a commercial and he said to me, have a go. I said, don't be silly, I can't do that. Never done anything like it in my life. He said, no, don't worry. He said, if you make it blue, I'll just carry on for you. Well, I just went from there.
And the rest is history.
The rest is history. 21 years later, I give it away.
Now, tell me, you went from rural life into stock feeds. How did you do that? What happened?
Well, I suppose back in the country in those days, Russell, there were a lot of kids getting up around the 20, 25 mark, and they weren't allowed to make decisions for themselves on farms. And of course, we used to frequent the bowling club quite a bit and have one or two ales, and I made a statement one day. We couldn't get people to leave, the kids never got to go. And I made a statement like, well, it's not going to happen to me. So when my kids started to leave school, they said, where are you going, Dad? So I had to make a decision. So I built this stock feeds here in Mandurah.
And you've been here for what?
28 years, yeah.
And you have supported the local community and supported lots of sporting organisations.
Well, as much as we can, Russell. We're only a very small family business, and we don't have a lot of money, but we have a good living, and that's the most important thing. I sponsor about 6 or 7 bowling clubs in the Murray Bowling League, a lot of the pony clubs in the district, because it was my firm belief when I came down here that pony clubs were keeping kids off the streets. It was costing mum and dad a few bob to have a horse, but it was keeping them off the streets, and I've supported pony clubs ever since we've been here.
Tell me, anyone thinking about moving to Mandurah, what's the best thing about it?
That's a pretty difficult question, Russell. I live on one of the canals at South Yunderup, so that's one of the best things.
It's a lovely place.
But there's probably better places to live, but it'd take a fair bit to shift me from down there. And it is a marvellous place, even though there is very little industry in Mandurah. That's its biggest downfall, I think, that there's not a hell of a lot of industry. So there's lots of places in Mandurah, and it's grown. When I built the shop in 1990, when I opened in 1990, there were 21,000 people in Mandurah. There's 70,000 now. That's how it's grown in those 28 years.
And it's growing again.
Absolutely. It won't be long, and you'll walk roof to roof from here to Rockingham, just about.
Stan, it's been great.
Thank you very much, Russell. My pleasure.